Thank you for joining us. I'm really appreciate you guys jumping on. Like I said, I know there's going to be a bunch of other folks that said that they wanted to join. They're not here yet, and so I'm sure they'll join as we go along. I won't stop for them. I'll just keep going. And like I said, there'll be a link to the audio and the visual for this afterwards. And so if you wanted to do that, you can take a look at that. And so thanks again for joining. And so let's kind of dig into this. This is how to set up your 2025 marketing plan. And so, like I said, the workbook is here. Before you get started, the workbook's here. Again, doesn't have all the slides, but has a lot of the critical ones. So as you re-listen to this, or if you print it now, you can actually take notes on that. That would be helpful. Our goal at the end of this is that you're going to use this material and actually write on it as well to be able to figure out what your marketing plan is going to be for 2025. All right, so here's what our goal is. So we're going to set goals for 2025. We're going to talk about how many leads you need to hit your target. We're going to talk about the 3 fundamentals of marketing and what that looks like and how you put those into play. You're going to how to optimize your website for conversion in 2025. We'll go through a lot of material on that. The big picture of all of the online marketing channels that are available to you. We don't have time to go into all of those, but we will touch on a lot of those so that you can try to maximize your lead flow for 2025. We'll take a look at the latest trends that you have to need to focus on in 2025. And then we'll also have you develop a custom action plan based on where you are now and what you need to do. All right, so if you could turn off your cell phones, your Facebook, or anything else that's going to get your attention, that would be great. If you're like me, I get distracted a lot. And so if you kind of turn that off in the next hour, that would be great. If you're a hardscape contractor, hardscape contractors are who Citadel Marketing is actually focused on. It's the niche that they picked. I have 2 companies now. I have Citadel Hardscape Marketing, and then I have Polaris. They're 2 separate ones. Polaris is more of a home services company, whereas Citadel Hardscape Marketing is one that's dedicated to cement and paver companies. And so, this is going to be a good thing. Now, you can take, if you're not a hardscape company, obviously you can take a lot of what we're talking about here, and I'll make examples that you can use in your business, like Jonathan and Lauren and some of the other folks that are on here. Okay, if you stay till the end, I have little gifts for you. If you stay to the end, in addition to the great information that you're going to get, you'll also include an ultimate marketing checklist that you can go through for your own business to figure out, hey, what am I doing? What am I not doing? How do I do this? And so that checklist is a couple-page checklist that you can take and easily apply to your company. And then the online dominance method, which is kind of a circle of services and things and activities that you can do to maximize your lead flow. Again, we'll go over that, and I'll give that to you as well. So a lot of information, and stay to the end if you can. Okay, so who am I? Why should you even listen to me? I'm the author of a book, and the book's name is Cementing Success: How to Double Your Sales by Unlocking the Power of Your Internet Marketing. I've been a successful home services company. I owned Allied Roof Cleaning for 7 years. We were fortunate enough to double sales every year as we went along. I sold that in 2021, actually. I'm the owner of Polaris Marketing Solutions, which is home services based, like I said before. I'm a member of the Concrete Mason and Hardscape Association. We're recognized market-wise for what we do, and we worked with a number of hardscape businesses, and we're really good at what we do here. So that's kind of who we are. If you look at, what's the hardest part about putting together a marketing plan? For you guys, it's pretty hard. I mean, because what happens is there's just so many options. And for those of you that run this, your business, you're really good at what you do. Marketing is its own thing. And so it can be a bit overwhelming as you look at all the different options that you have to figure out what's my budget, what should it be, where should I invest, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a lot. And so we're going to try to take a little bit of the guesswork away as we look at all the different things that are available to you. And if you look at this chart closely, and you'll have this, we'll provide this as well. There's a lot of different things that you can do as a business owner. The SEO piece really helps you rank. You can come up with programs and stuff for your business. You can look at pay-per-lead types of things like Home Advisor and Google local service ads. You can do retargeting of those people that went to your website but didn't convert, and so your website can capture their pixel and basically start to market to them specifically. If they've come to your website once before, they're possibly going to come again. And so there's a lot of things around this wheel that you can do to really promote your business in 2025. And so we're going to touch on a bunch of those as we move forward. Marketing is a major investment. There's no doubt about it. We're going to get into how much of your dollars should be in marketing, but there's no doubt about it that investing all your items around the wheel can be incredibly expensive. And maybe some of you have actually invested in some of these things before and came away with thinking, that wasn't a great return on my investment. And, that kind of stuff, happens all the time. I've worked with companies where they've said, I've done pay-per-click and it didn't work. Or I did SEO, it didn't work. Well, I mean, these things do work. Google makes billions of dollars on Google ads, and SEO, there's literally millions of companies that do well ranking. And so if it didn't work for you, there's typically a reason behind that. But I certainly understand that, many of you come with baggage around not having a good record to show, but we're going to try to change that. So today we're going to really provide you with some tools that will have you analyze what you're doing and what needs to be changed. Like I said, on the left here is the is the checklist. You'll get that. The wheel here we've already kind of taken a look at, but we'll dive into this a bit further. There are search terms that we can provide and other tools that we'll provide that will be helpful for you moving forward. At the end of the day, we really want you to take away from, we want you to take from spending a lot of money on things that really don't work to build your business. We want to take that from failing to actually now succeeding. We want you to develop a clear plan on what's going to happen in 2025. We want you to have objectives that you're going to go after. We want to educate you on some other things that you can do to continue to grow your business. And the opportunity is there. If you put the plan together that's specific for your business, that you understand and you have clear KPIs, there's no reason that 2025 can't be a really good year for you. What if I could ensure through marketing efforts that I could generate enough leads and close enough business to allow my company to grow? What would happen if you could think that way? How much pressure would that take you off your shoulders? And could you sleep better knowing that, hey, listen, we're going to make this happen. We're going to hit the number we need to hit, and I've got a plan in place to do that. It would certainly reduce the daily stress. And so, what if you could ensure that you were getting a good return on your investment? A lot of people ask me, well, how much money should I spend on marketing? Well, if you're getting a good return on your investment, you should be spending as much as you can. If you're getting, $50 in revenue for every dollar you're investing in marketing, you'd do that all day, right? And so it's not so much how much should I spend, although everybody has a budget. It's really the return on investment that's the more important question you should be asking. And so really think about how different 2025 would be if you had a plan to generate the leads you needed, you had an ROI to really look at the marketing dollars that you were investing, and you have a plan in place with KPIs, which are key performance indicators that make sure that you're moving in the right direction. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is set a clear goal, right? And so what are your goals for 2025? Brian Tracy says success is goals, all else is commentary, right? You got to have something. And so setting goals is so important when it comes to understanding what you're going to do the next year. Unless you put it down in like a stake in the ground, you really have nothing to shoot at. And so think of goals as clear goals as wind in your sail. I mean, again, unless you have clear goals, it's hard to get excited during the year on what's happening when you don't know how it's working in relations to what the plan is. And so, sales are it's like wind in your sails once you have a plan in place. And if you don't set a plan in place, you kind of feel like you're being tossed around. And so the goal here is to make sure that you have clear goals and that you feel like you're moving in the right direction. There's actually a Harvard business case that took place in the late 70s, early 80s. And it said this, it said they took a look at a bunch of businesses and 84% of them did not have specific goals. And that's not uncommon. So 84% of the businesses they looked at had no goals whatsoever. 13% did have goals, but didn't write them down. And then 3% had clear goals that they wrote down and they had plans to accomplish them. The results, when they looked at what happened to those companies, is pretty impressive. The 13% of the class who had goals but didn't write them down, right? Still performed twice as well as the 84% that had no goals. And what was even more staggering is the 3% that did have goals that they did write down performed 10 times the combination of those two other groups. So having a plan in place makes a difference, an absolute difference. And so as far as goal setting goes, you really have to have written goals and plans. You need to set them for a minimum time. It could be a year would be a long time. You could have quarterly goals. We're going to actually show you how to have monthly goals. And the idea is this. So I'll tell this story. Back when I was much younger, a friend talked me into doing triathlons. I was okay at running and biking, but I really stunk at swimming. In fact, I'm a horrible swimmer. I sink. I don't swim. It's really controlled drowning is what I have. And so when I did the triathlons, my worst thing was going into the lakes to go around buoys to actually finish the race. And you would chart out, you'd look and you say, okay, those are the buoys. But once you get in the water, I mean, it seemed like, everything broke loose. I mean, you're with pet people, you're bumping into people. And so people had a tendency once they started to just swim as fast as they can. And you swim just like the guy next to you. And so what happened is you'd have these different pods of people that weren't looking where they were going, and they would go off course, and you just see huge pockets of these people go off course and make the trip much longer because they didn't do that. And so what I learned very quickly when I did these things is I was a horrible swimmer to begin with. So I wanted to swim the least amount of distance possible. So every couple minutes, I would pop my head up, look around, reorient myself, and then go to the next buoy. And in doing so, it helped me a great deal. And the same thing goes for business. Unless every couple of months you sit down, pop your head back up, and then reacquaint yourself to where you're going, you're likely to kind of just do what we did, what you have a tendency to do, which is just put your head down, go as fast as you can. 6 months or a year into this, it goes, wow, what happened and how did I get here? And so again, if you could pop your head up every couple of months to reacquaint where you're at with respect to your plan and your goals, that would be key. Okay, so what are your goals for 2025? So what is your revenue target? How much is that monthly? How many calls does that require? What's your average transaction value for, like, in your case, Jonathan, you have pools. Lauren, you may have, you have call centers. You have a number of different products that you have. But what's your average ticket price? Those are some key questions to ask. And when you feel those numbers out, so here's just some numbers I put in there. So $1.5 million, how does that break down monthly? It's $125,000 monthly. What is your average deal size? In this case, if it's $2,000, that means I need 62.5 deals per month to close in order to drive that monthly revenue to hit that number for the year. So knowing how many jobs I need to do is going to be really important. And so the other piece of this is, what's your average close rate? As far as, from the estimates that you do, what's your close rate as far as those leads go? And then what you do is simply divide those. So in this case, if your average close rate is 55%, you divide the 62 deals that you need by 55%, which means I need 113 leads per month, which is this. So I'm going to actually give this to you. It's a spreadsheet, and I'm going to actually jump to this right now, and I'm going to go over it real quick. So I'm going to share. I'm going to go to the spreadsheet. Okay. Jamal, thumbs up if you can see the spreadsheet. Good. Okay. I'm going to give you this spreadsheet so you don't have to worry about this. And so what you do is you just, in this number right here, you just put your revenue nut target for 2025. It will divide it out per month to come up with a monthly number. Your input is what's your average ticket price? It's going to calculate what's your monthly goals as far as your number of deals that you have. You're going to put in your close rate. It's going to calculate the number of leads that you need to generate in order to close this many business to drive that many revenues. So again, this spreadsheet is available to you. I'll give this to you. There's even a video here that will explain how this spreadsheet works. And then the second part of this spreadsheet, which is pretty cool too. So this is going to be, it takes your number from the first part of the spreadsheet. So $1.5 million being my example here. And so it's going to ask you, what's your marketing budget for 2025? So let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to actually, in the chat here, I'll give you a bunch of articles that you can read at your pleasure, from Forbes to Gartner to you name it, on how to figure out, or what's the average that people have. And so the rule of thumb is about 6%. If you're going to try to grow your business significantly, 8 to 12% of sales is typically the number. If you're very conservative, 3% would probably be the minimum. And so it's really up to you to put in this number right here, which is your marketing budget, and figure out what that's going to be for the year. And once you do that, the spreadsheet will calculate what your marketing spend is going to be for the year, and it'll also break it down into a monthly number. Now, when it comes to marketing, there are certainly different kinds of marketing that you can do. You can do online marketing, you can do offline marketing, you can do repeat marketing. So offline marketing would be any magazines that you want to be in, any every door direct mail, any type of that kind of stuff that's not online marketing is offline marketing. And so they've got that number at 10%. And then the repeat business is this. I would say one of the things that I see in just about every company that I deal with, and one of the low-hanging fruits that they don't take advantage of, is marketing to their current base of customers. Do you consistently talk to those guys on a monthly basis to keep top of mind? And granted, they may have already bought a pool pump and they may not buy a pool pump for the next 10 years, but A, they may need other pieces of equipment, or B, they may know somebody that needs a pool pump. And so you really need to market to your current base of customers. And if you're not doing that, you really should. And so repeat marketing, which is what that term is something that you should consider. It's easy to put automation in place to be able to do that. And so I would certainly suggest doing that. So again, these three numbers, you can change them and whatever you want them to be. They just need to add up to 100%. But online, about 80% is what we see as the normal. So the spreadsheet shows you what that comes out to be on an annual basis. And then what we do is we actually now take the online portion, or these three buckets, and we break them up in each month. And so now we can drive that number from an annual number to a monthly number. Now in this case, the spreadsheet just makes them all 8.3%, so it evenly distributes them all out, which is probably not the case in a lot of your businesses. I know when I had my home services business, October through March or April, those were my busy times, and the summer was much different. Jonathan, you may be the opposite of that. And so what you can do is just you just figure out what your numbers are. So you take your actual number for 2024. You take your actual number for 2024, and then you just put in your monthly sales for 2024. What were they? And this spreadsheet will actually calculate what the spread code is for you specifically. And so all you're going to do is basically take these percentages and just copy them in the spreadsheet for online marketing, offline marketing, and repeat marketing. And so now once you've done that, now we can take a look at online marketing specifically and say, okay, what is that budget? Where is that budget going to go? So online marketing is really broken up into three different buckets: SEO, pay-per-click, local service ads, and then retargeting. So SEO, I think most people know what SEO is. It's the ability to kind of rank organically or in the tri-pack. And so that's at 35% of the online marketing budget. Pay-per-click or local service ads, we're going to talk about this a bit further in the presentation, but that's 55%. And then the retargeting. Retargeting is marketing to those people that have gone to your website but have not engaged with you. There's codes on your website that you can place that capture their pixels. And so then you can retarget to those folks. And if you've ever done a search on Google for I did this with a fishing lure. So I went to a fishing lure thing, and then I didn't buy it. And then for the next week or two, I actually got, everywhere I went, I saw that same fishing lure all over the place because they're retargeting me. And so retargeting is a really good way to get to folks that came to you in the first place. Most people won't buy until they see you at least 5 to 7 times. So retargeting is a good way to spend your money as well. So once you break up the online, you can do the same thing. SEO, pay-per-click, display ads. You take the same spread codes that we calculated up above, you put them in here, and now you've gone from what was my target for 2025, you've broken that up into what kind of marketing, whether it's online, offline, or targeting your customers. And now you've even broken that online up into SEO, PPC, and display ads. And so that's what this spreadsheet is designed to do. Again, there is a link right here that will explain everything that I just did. It's another video of me doing this exact same thing. So if you forgot everything I just said, you can go back, look at the video, and it'll explain this all over again. But feel free to use this spreadsheet. There are also 3 other spreadsheets I'm not going to really get into at this point in time that talk about special promotions and how you do those. And at the end of the day, what you want to do is set up a calendar, a marketing calendar. So each month you're identifying what you're going to target for or highlight for, social media or for your pay-per-click ads or those kind of things that you want to do. And so the idea here, if you go all the way to the right for your marketing calendar, you have exact things that you want to go after for certain months, your email campaign to your existing customer, your social media, what do you want to highlight each month? It's good to have a plan in place to be able to do this, because once you do it up front, then it's much easier to do this on a consistent basis. So That's like I said, you'll have access to this spreadsheet. Use it however you want to, and I think you'll get a lot out of this. So let me just go back up to this. All right, so you've gotten the spreadsheet. Feel free to use that in whatever way you want. If you have any questions, please let us know. And so again, now that you've answered, the goal as far as what your goal is for 2025 and how many leads you need in order to get there, we've also helped you establish a marketing budget. And not only a marketing budget, but we help you break it out by vertical to make sure you can see where you needed to spend the money. Okay, so now we're going to get into marketing. So marketing is a strategy for getting your ideal customer to market to them so that they know you, like you, and trust you enough to become a customer. So, part of this definition is really there's the one part, which is the strategy. You got to figure out how to do that. The other parts are it's about identifying your ideal target market. You can't take everybody. I see a lot of small businesses that say, hey, I want to market to everybody. I have like 10 services. I want to do everything. And it's like, well, that's a hard thing to market because you're trying to be all things to all people. And so we're going to get into how you niche down in order to become more successful. But certainly understanding your customers and how they buy, what makes them emotional about buying. In your case, even like Jonathan, why do they, what do most pool owners, if they have concerns or if they have issues with their pool, what are those and how can you address those, right? Because at the end of the day, you wanted to be a trusted resource for them so that they could become a customer. And so, in marketing, hope is not a strategy. You actually have to put together a strategy. And everybody else, and neither is following what everybody else does. I've seen a lot of people spend a lot of money unwisely because they're spending money like other bigger companies or different companies, and it really needs to be specific for you. All right, so these are the three different legs of marketing. You've got the market, you got your message, and you got the media. The market is, you got to identify who your ideal customer is. I know that sounds strange, but when you do 4 or 5 different things, I'll give you an example. So if someone does photography and they do weddings, they do corporate outings, they do family photos, and they do one other thing, right? So they do photography. But in most cases, people are looking for more specific things. They're looking for, hey, I've got a wedding coming up. And so tell me what you do about wedding. But if you've now marketed those broad services, they're looking for more specifics of how you can help them from a wedding perspective. And just think about how specific you could be if you picked wedding, if that's the one you really liked, the niche that you liked. Think about how specific you could be to what they need based upon picking that ideal market. Your message must know their ideal customer well enough to be, to understand their challenges. Like I said, in the case of the photographer, if you understand, if you go ahead and pick as your market weddings photography, you're going to understand that when brides go to pick the photography for their wedding, they have specific concerns that they want to address, right? And you can address those concerns. You can be very specific in how you do that. Much so than if you just didn't pick any and you just listed all 4 services, right? And so your marketing should be centered around how you solve the issues or challenges of the customer. It's not about features and benefits. It's about addressing those needs and those issues that customers have with whatever you're selling. And then the media is how best to reach your audience through the message. Okay, so we've talked about your ideal customer, right? And so now we're going to get into picking a niche. We've talked about before, marketing to everyone is really not marketing to anyone. And so if you have limited resources, you really want to spend them wisely and you want to be relevant in whatever you pick. And so pricing becomes even irrelevant for a niche. As an example, with physicians, if you're looking for a specialist, you're going to pay a heck of a lot of money for a specialist than you are a generalist, because a specialist, they're a very specific market or niche, right? And so when you are in a niche and you're recognized as a leader, you can ask for a premium and you can demand a premium and get that premium. So pricing does become irrelevant for a niche. Just like, the one for the wedding thing that we just picked before, right? For a bride looking for a photographer for her wedding, she's going to look for someone who does weddings, is an expert in weddings, has online stuff that they can do. I mean, there's a lot of things that they're going to address to make her happy, but she'll pay a lot more for that than she would a general guy just doing it as one is for services. And so again, pricing becomes you can increase your pricing there. It'll also allow you to be a big fish in a small pond, which is never a bad thing. And so going broad kills you from a specialness, and it becomes a commodity, and then you begin to compete on price, and you really don't want to do that. And so once you dominate a niche, you can pick another niche. And so once again, you can just pick one going forward. And my company is a great example. Citadel Hardscape Marketing, that's a niche company. I specifically picked that because I want to become the market leader in that. And yeah, so I can't pick everyone for that company, but the ones I can pick, I can go pretty deep on that, and they'll pay me a premium because I'm very familiar with that market and I've got a track record in it. So there you go. So how do you pick a niche? It should be a segment that you currently have. Obviously, that makes sense. Um, the first thing you want to do there, and you also need to take a look at these last things, three things. So I would say if you've got a bunch of things that you can do, list those, and then you kind of do a scale of 1 to 10 on these three areas. One is personal fulfillment. How do you enjoy dealing with the customers? You might have some customers that you hate. As an example, construction. In the construction business, GCs may be difficult to work with because they don't pay their bills on time. And so if you're some type of contractor that, and one of your buckets might be GCs, you may say, geez, I really don't want to work with them because I don't enjoy dealing with them and I don't get paid on time. So that's something that you got to consider. The value of the marketplace. So how much does this segment value the work that you do? It's important that they do that. And then the last thing is profitability. How profitable is the work for you to do in this market? And so, like I said, if you want to pick a niche, go ahead and rate each of the services or the things that you do, and then score them between 1 and 10 on these three things, and then pick the highest score. And then just chew on it for a while and see if that makes sense for you. And then what you're going to do is, who's your ideal customer? And that's part of, once you figure out who your market is, then you can begin to dial in who your customer is as far as the demographics. And here's some great example here. This is called building your avatar, right? Who are your all homeowners? Is it just homeowners in a certain, maybe in subdivisions, maybe high-end subdivisions? Maybe it's people with pools. I mean, it could be any number of as far as the demographic goes. People with an annual income of a certain amount, family orientated, people who like gardening. I mean, there's tons of things as far as the demographic. Once you figure out the demographic, what that customer looks like, then you can kind of figure out what their pain points and frustrations are. As example, I'm picking on Jonathan for a little bit, but as far as pool services go, a lot of people have been through a lot of pool services. They don't show up when they say they're going to show up. It's a different person. They don't annotate when they're there, so they don't know if they ever showed up. The pool doesn't look good. And so, once you kind of see what their pains and frustrations are, then in your marketing and on your website, you can highlight those things. Hey, we have dedicated crews that come to your house. We use technology that, documents when we're there. We contact you. I know Jonathan actually does a lot of what I'm just saying. Documents when you're at the house. You can see when we're at the house. We take pictures when we're at the house. We bill you on a regular basis. We can give you a heads up when pool equipment is running out or that kind of stuff. And so again, you can build your marketing around how you satisfy those concerns or pains or frustrations your customer has. And that's how you begin to really dial that in. Again, your goals and desires, fears and implications about what that looks like. If they've been ripped off before, obviously we're talking about concrete and pavers on this call as well. And so you look at a homeowner that's looking about getting their driveway replaced. Their concerns would be, how long is it going to take? Can I get a concrete guy to even call me back? Is the bid going to be, am I going to pay what you bid? Is that going to be an issue? Are you going to do, is it going to be code, compliant? I mean, there's a lot of things that people think about with respect to hiring a contractor like that. Are you going to screw up my yard? Are you going to do this, this, and this? And so obviously then in your marketing, you're going to say, hey, listen, we're going to take pictures before and after. We're going to ensure that when we leave every day, the job site is clean. At the end of the job, you're not going to be able to tell we were even there except for the brand new driveway. I mean, you can really go after those highlights that address those fears and and frustrations that they've had before that will make it much easier for that customer to trust you. So again, if you can see John Jones through John Jones's eyes, then you can sell what John Jones buys, which is really what we're trying to do here. You're trying to understand your customer well enough to know what he needs. And so it's not features and benefits. It's all about how you can satisfy their concerns and frustrations and their desires. Okay, so we've talked about two or three out of these, and now we're just going to talk about the media and how you do this. So what I would suggest you do, you've got this in your workbook, is to figure out now, just write down or in your own mind, figure out, all right, so why should someone choose my business with you versus a competitor? This is called the unique selling proposition. Why is that? If you say, well, we're just good and we're better, well, I mean, how so? I mean, what do you do that's better? How do you address these things? It's important that you write these down and you refine these going on, because your message needs to be really specific to that market that you've picked. The second part of this is, what benefit do you offer your target customer or avatar that will really resonate with them? Again, it's not necessarily about features, it's benefit. It's about how you can satisfy their fears or desires or whatever. It may be, I want to have my curb look, my pool always look good, or my curb appeal. I want my curb appeal. I want my house to look nice. I want to sell my house at some day. So there are specific things for your messaging that you really need to dial into. So if you get a chance, just write down those thoughts so that you have those moving forward. Okay, so messaging that works. All jobs will be done to code. We talked about that before. We've seen a lot of jobs that were done from a concrete and paver perspective that they didn't get the right permitting done, and then you run into all kinds of different things. Straightforward pricing. People just want to make sure that what you quote them is going to be what they're going to pay. Crews that are knowledgeable about what they're doing. I mean, when you're talking about literally tens of thousands of dollars for a pool patio or something like that, the customer really has to be trustworthy of the crew. And so you got to talk about that. All the jobs will be done on time, notwithstanding weather. So hitting goals and hitting the time frame that you gave is going to be really important. Work to improve the curb appeal of home. All those messaging, these are the things that work really well with customers. And you can say other things: fast same-day service, money-saving offers, be specific. 24 hours. I saw one contractor say no overtime would be charged, which, a lot of people are concerned about paying overtime. And so if that's a concern of your customers, you want to address that. Clean cut professional. You see this all the time. Hey, the guys who come to my house look like slobs. And so it's important that people come clean cut professional. You can even, I had a window cleaning business at one time. So it was important that all my people, when they came into the house, were clean cut, had uniforms on. They were background checked, because, that's a security issue for homeowners. And so whatever those concerns are, you can bring those out. A great service, guaranteed. You want to talk about what that is? It could be a warranty, it could be a guarantee that you have. Just be as specific as you can to make the case of why they should choose you. Okay, so that keep working on those areas that need more work. Don't stop. Interview your target customer. Why did you come with me? What do you look for in a pool company or a technology company like Lauren's on here as well? They do everything from phone calls, phone systems to data cords or data lines and all that kind of stuff. And so it's important to understand what your customers are looking for. Okay, so now we're going to look at media. Websites that convert. Your website is really the foundation of your media work. It's the hub of which everything kind of leaks to your social media, all that kind of stuff. You see that here in the picture. Your website's really the spoke where everybody ends up at one point in time. People check you out. They might check out your GMB listing, but at some point they're going to go to your website. So it's important that your website be optimized so that you can convert as many visitors into customers. And so if you look at, here's just an example of a good front page of a website. And I think in your workbook, you actually have a couple slides into this, but just some highlights here. You've got the guy's picture. It's important that you have pictures of who you guys are. They can identify that. I remember I had a video on my website, and I can't tell you how many customers had watched my video and said, hey, geez, you're the owner of the company. You're here, And so having your picture on the front of the website so that they can relate to somebody is important. And you can see in this case, this guy's motto is pleasing you means pleasing us, right? And so that's their motto. And so their things here: never charge an overtime. These are all issues that their customers, and this is a plumbing company, I believe, so they address. Legendary lifetime furnace. Actually, this is an electric company here, or HVAC company. Free second opinion. So these are things that, once again, they address because they know their customer well. They have the logo up here. They have an easy way to get to the phone. They have their social media cues up here. They have 24 hours up here. They have any type of awards they won. They have call to action buttons down here. I mean, this is a good performing website. You don't want to have people go through, have to scroll down on your website to call you, to contact you. The header is really, really important, not only for SEO, but just in getting people to convert and call you or send you a form fill. So again, does your website convert? Does it have real authentic images on your team, your homepage, throughout the site? Does your website have videos? Videos are becoming more and more popular. Having a video of this guy welcoming you to the website, talking about who they are and what they stand for. People like that kind of stuff because it allows them to get to know you as a business owner. And if they're trying to pick between A, B, and C, and they look at you and they see you and they trust you, they'll pick you. And so having a video these days is a very popular thing. Okay, and does your website have the real authentic images throughout the website? In other words, you don't want stock photos. You want actual photos of your guys working with their shirts. Welcome videos. You can have other videos on the other services that you have. I know, Jonathan, you do a lot of services besides just cleaning the pool. You also do pool equipment and that kind of stuff. And I think you've even gotten into building pools as well, so you can talk about all that stuff. And so, does your website showcase live reviews? Do you have reviews on there? Make sure the basics are in order, a large phone number, that kind of stuff. So this is just one example of a nice converting website homepage. So then again, this is the kind of stuff that you need to set up for good conversion. We just went over a lot of this stuff, having reviews, having videos. Does it make sense for them to call to action? Are there call to action buttons on each page, several places on each page? Do you have the opportunity to engage with them via chat? That's becoming more and more popular. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But, people used to send emails back and forth, but I don't know if you're like me. I get tons of emails. And so if I respond much better to a text message. And so do you have a way for people to text you on your website? That's a very important thing. Are you giving them the opportunity? Are you leveraging marketing automation to be able to contact them should they contact you? And so these are big things for your website, and these are in your thing. Okay, so that's your website. That's really important that you do that. But here's one other thing. The biggest mistake or the biggest marketing issue facing most companies out there is the conversion, the piece. And that is, for people that do call you, how many of those do you actually close? And so the numbers are pretty staggering here. If you look at 50 to 60% of inbound calls leave unconverted, or 90% of form fills fail to convert. And you may say, well, why in the world would that happen? I mean, if I go to the trouble of filling out a form fill, why wouldn't I convert? And the issue is a lot of form fills don't get acted upon very quickly. Within an hour or two, or maybe the next day. And, people aren't patient these days. They don't wait around. I mean, our deal when I had my roof cleaning business is if we didn't get back to them in 5 minutes after that we called, we had like a 20% chance of getting that customer. And if it went more than an hour, that dropped down to about 5%. And anything over a couple hours, I mean, we barely called them the next day because it was just that hard because they had moved on to someone else, right? And so it's really important when it comes to converting leads that you have a response mechanism to be able to respond appropriately to whatever leads you get. And so leads are not followed up. If they're not followed up, at least in the 15 minutes, they go cold. The average customer must be touched 5 to 7 times before they book. And so you think about, how do they do that? Do you send out a text message or some type of email message saying, hey, thanks for calling, appreciate it. Here's some things that you can do to take a look at us. Here's this thing. There's tons of things that you can do from an automation standpoint that will help you continue to stay in front of that customer. And today's customers really prefer to interact via text because we just get bombarded by email messages. And I don't know if you're like me, my phone rings all the time, and it's rarely for me. It's typically for somebody else. Google's calling me for some stupid thing. And so I don't answer my phone for most times. And so I need to have a way to engage customers that call me and I don't get to their phone call. And so as soon as I've got technology now on my website so that if I miss a phone call, within 5 seconds after that phone call is done, I've got a text message to that person saying, hey, sorry I missed your call. How can we help you? And we engage with them to make sure that I don't lose that lead. And so here's some solutions, right? Leveraging marketing automation. We just talked about that. automation around emails and marketing and chats and those kind of things, to respond in the first couple minutes after you get a form fill or you get a phone call or you get a message. You've got to be able to respond to that. You want to automate the follow-up so that every prospect is touched as many times as possible without becoming a burden, and then allow customers to engage with you via text. That's a big thing nowadays. And so texting is a big deal. And so if you look at this, just simple math, 100 leads, one conversion rate is 30, the other one is 50 for cement and paver jobs that are on average about $2,000 a job. If you have a 30% close rate, that's about 60,000 per month. But if you brought it up to just 50%, that's 100,000. That's a $40,000 difference in just going up 20 points on your close rate. And so it makes a huge difference in your business. You know, leads are hard to get. And so you really want to make sure that you do absolutely everything you can to get that customer as a, not only as a customer. So make every lead you generate more valuable. And so, you know, implement that in your business. And what does that look like? This is kind of just an automation diagram. I expect you to see this, but basically when someone, you know, sends in an email request or a form fill, I can respond via a text. I can respond via a email message. I can ask them questions depending on how they answer that questions. I can book them. I can send them some information. I can do different things. And so again, touching them so that they feel comfortable and they can trust you is really important. If you were trying to do this manually, it'd be crazy. And so there is automation in place with CRM systems that you can put in place, things like this that will touch them and send them through a queue with really good information around your services, customer testimonials, different services that you do. You can schedule them. You can do a number of different things, and you can automate the entire process. And that's really kind of where you want to go. So your action items for you now is, what 3 conversion elements will you implement on your website this year? What will that look like? Do you have form fills? Do you have call to actions? Do you have a chat on there? Do you have reviews? What else do you have on your website that you can convert people with? And write those down. Figure out what those would be so that you can go into 2025 with a plan. Okay, so now we're going to take away, we've talked about the website and how to optimize your website. And now we're just going to talk about how to know and track your key performance indicators. And the key performance indicators are data points that you can track to show if you're headed in the right direction. That's all they are. And so for us in marketing, this is kind of what it looks like. We have a conversion here. This is a good example of, you know, for us as we drive leads for customers, these are organic leads or SEO coming when people do searches. And so in this case, this is an actual customer. They got 65 phone calls for the month through people finding them on a search. They had another 40 phone calls from Google ads. Their GMB listing is now highly ranked. And so they got 98 phone calls from their GMB listing. They got 32 form fills that came in. So they got a total of 235 leads for the month. They spent $5,500. That includes Google ad spend as well. So 235 leads costing $5,500 came out to be $23.43 for the lead, which is good, right? So that's kind of how we track that. And also what we do is this. We take, okay, the 235 leads, we say, out of the leads that you got, unique phone calls, what percent of those were actually legit possible leads? And in his case, they said about 80% of those calls, the other 20% were people calling for a job or solicitors or whatever. So 80% of those phone calls were legit. So now we're down to 188 phone calls of possible clients. Out of that, what's the close rate? So out of 188, their close rate was 40%. So they actually got about 75.2 possible clients. So 75 possible clients, their average deal is about $5,000. That comes out to be about $376,000 in possible revenue for the month. So again, that's a good number. As you look at what the spend was, as I said before, $5,500, and their ROI their revenue was 376. So the return on investment is about 68 to 1. So for every dollar they invest from a marketing perspective, they're getting $68 in revenue back. So again, these are just KPIs for a marketing company, right? But there are other KPIs that you can use for your company. And I would say Jonathan and some of the other people on here probably use some similar to these. You know, monthly close rate. You do want to know that. That's an important thing to have. That's just the number of invoices over the number of estimates. Your monthly average deal size, that's something that you can get pretty easily. All you do is divide your revenue by your invoices. Number of missed calls. Missed calls are big deals nowadays. And so if you've got missed calls, it's important to be able to track those on a monthly basis. And you can track other things like revenue or reviews for the month, your review rating per the month, your AR dollars, per month, what those are on a DSO basis. So how many days sales do you have outstanding in AR? You can look at that. Dollar spent on resolving issues. When I had a roof cleaning company, we'd have to spend money repairing bushes and all that kind of stuff. And so we track that as well. So, for each of your companies, you got to figure out, what are my KPIs? What are important for me to track on a monthly basis to say, am I moving in the right direction? Whether it be the marketing ones that I talked about earlier or some of these other ones. But these would be kind of useful if as you move forward. Okay, so far we've talked about the goals and the targets for 2025, clarity around market, message, and media. We've made sure that your website is optimized. I give you a whole list of things to kind of consider to do that. We've set up simple KPI tracking dashboards to kind of figure out from a marketing perspective, what's your ROI, but there are obviously other KPIs that you can set up as well that would be helpful. And so now we're just going to talk about some trends for 2025 that we've seen, and we'll talk about some of these. So first one is Google local service ads. We're going to talk a little bit about these today. I'm actually going to do a whole webinar on local service ads on my next webinar, because you can get into the details here. So we're just going to broadly kind of go over what Google local service ads and how they're different. Obviously, the trends for this year, shifting from phone conversations to messaging and making sure you have the technology in place to do that. Obviously, doing all the things that you need to do in order to get your SEO and return on your pay-per-click and all those. And then your automation. Do you have automation in place? And can you make some of these processes streamlined so that they just happen automatically, whether it be chatting or texting, and even AI for that matter. So we have now a feature on our website where if I miss a call, we'll automatically send them a text message. And that text message is actually managed by an AI bot. And so we've educated that AI bot into answering about 50 of the most common questions. And so that AI is now educated to answer just about any question that customer would have. And the goal of that is to get them to book a call with us to have a deeper conversation. So you can use AI technology in a number of different ways. And so we're not going to get into that on this call, but there is a way to do that. And we'll talk about it on a later webinar. Okay, so what is a Google local service ads? Google local service ads are also called guaranteed ads or screened ads. These ads sit on top of Google ads. So you got your Google ads, which are pay-per-click, and then you've got your local service ads that actually sit up on there. And there's typically like a green mark or a check mark that says Google guaranteed on it. And so if you've seen that before, obviously you've seen it. And so that's what it is. And so there is a call tracking number there. So all those calls are tracked when people call, because the thing that they're doing when they respond to a local service ad is they're actually calling you. It's an actual lead. Unlike Google ads like this one below here, this Better Business Bureau, when someone clicks on that ad, the company is going to be charged $5 or whatever they bid on to get to that place. But that customer is going to go to their website, or they're going to go to a landing page, and then it's up to those landing pages or website to convert them and get them to call or email them or send a form fill. So, there's a conversion process that needs to happen. Unlike that, local service ads, the response there is to call you. So you're getting a lead. That's the difference between the two, and it's a pretty big difference. Okay, so again, there's a tracking number there. So part of the whole process that we'll get into in a separate webinar is, they can tell all the phone numbers because they track those. And the cool thing about Google local service ads is they can also, if it's not a true lead, you just basically petition Google and you can get reimbursed for that lead. That's not the case with Google ads. Once they click on that, you're charged no matter what. It could be a past customer of yours. It could be a guy calling for something else. And so you have to pay for it with Google ads. But with service ads, you can actually dispute it, and Google will actually reimburse you for the lead. And so this is how all the different Google platforms kind of run out on a search term. So up here on the top are Google local service ads. They sit on top of the Google ads. Google ads will say ad or sponsored. They're next typically. And then you have what they call the local section or the tri-pack. And that's where local businesses can compete for this ranking. And so there's typically three customers displayed here. There's obviously many more that are here. And so that's the GMB listing. And then the bottom of this is called the Google Organic. And so anyone can qualify for Google Organic. You just have to do all the things necessary that Google would want you to do in order to rank high. And so this is how all the different areas of a search result looks like. And this is where they break up. Okay, so how do Google Local Service ads work? You must complete a Google Local Service application. Obviously, if they're going to guarantee that you're a legitimate customer or a contractor, you're going to have to do some things to verify that you're a legitimate contractor. So they're going to do a license check, a background check, they're going to do insurance check, all those kind of things to make sure that you're a legitimate business owner. You have to have a certain number of reviews in order to qualify, and so it's just not an automatic thing. And not every service is eligible for Google Local Service ads. There are some services that Google just hasn't gotten around to putting those on the Google Local Service ads yet. But they keep adding to that on a regular basis. So I would check that if you're not on it today. Once approved and activated in your area, you'll pay on a per lead basis. You can pay anywhere from 25 to 75 bucks per lead, depending on the industry that you're in. Obviously, with a roofing contractor, you're going to pay a lot more than a pool contractor. And so, there are some differences there, and it will differ by not only industry, but also by city as well. Okay, so feedback from people who have done this before, and I have a number of customers that do this, is the overall cost per lead is less than pay-per-click or Google ads. They're higher quality leads than Home Advisor. I don't know if many of you guys use Home Advisors. That's some other type of lead generation thing, but they're typically better than that. They still have some price shoppers. There's no getting around that, but there's typically a pretty solid ROI for clients that have jumped on board to this. There is a life cycle to this. I will tell you that, I've got, as an example, I've got a roof cleaning company that kills it in this. And then I've got another one that was killing in this, and now it's kind of waned off. So as more and more people jump on the bandwagon, it becomes a little less or more competitive. And so it's a little less as far as the return on investment, but it's certainly something you should kind of consider. So next steps with local services, talk to your partner or our team to take a look at what that is and whether you even qualify. You'll have to do the background checks and all that other kind of stuff. You'll have to put tracking in place to gauge your return on investment. But the ROI is typically pretty good on this. And like I said before, we're going to be doing our next webinar is really unlocking the power of local service ads. And so if you're interested in that, you can get an invite to the next one, and we'll go through in detail how to set it up and really how to maximize it, because there's a lot of nuances you need to know in order to kind of get as much as you can out of that platform. Okay, so building your plan for 2025. This is the wheel that all the different things that you can do. And so I would just say, if you can take a look at this, you might be doing SEO pretty well. You might be doing some programs, which is like gift cards and referral programs and that kind of stuff you can do. Those are easy things that you can do to be on your Facebook and Instagram, and getting your social media set would be a good thing to do as well. Pay per leads, you can either do Google ads, Facebook ads, you can do local service ads. There's things you can do there. The repeat and referral customers, these are the ones, obviously, you're targeting your customer base, your current customer base. What plan do you have in place in order to make that happen? How often are you going to touch them? What are you going to talk to them about? How do you keep top of mind? Can you have a referral program in place? That kind of thing you want to be able to do. Paid online directories. You can do things like Angie's List and Home Advisors and those kind of things. You just got to be careful and monitor your return on investment, because sometimes you can pay a decent amount of money for these and it's not a good return on your investment. So just be aware of that. Retargeting, we talked about what that is, and just putting the codes on your website to be able to track those folks, and then putting in place through Google ads and those kind of things, the ability to market to them on a regular basis. So take a look at this wheel. What are you doing today? What aren't you doing today? Where are your opportunities at? What does that look like? And what do you want to target for 2025? Okay, this is just a client case testimonial kind of thing. We had a website. We created this. He had a website. We basically took it over. We did a ton of SEO work. We optimized his GMB listings. We focused on reviews. We now do his PPC stuff. Precision tracking, we do all of his KPI work. This is for a customer. You guys may know him, Christian Hernandez Concrete, based in Florida, a full service residential concrete contractor. And this is just kind of an example of some of the stuff that we do with him. He ranks, I think, on the first page for probably 50 keywords, which is great for him. He gets on average around 90 leads per month. Average cost per lead is about 60 bucks. When you consider his average ticket price for his is about 6,000 bucks, whether that's a retaining wall, a sidewalk, whatever, that's a realistic thing. And so he's, in the 2 years we've had him, he's doubled every year. And so that's just one of many customers that we have. And so we can do kind of the same thing for you guys. In the workbook that you have, you'll also get a link to this. This is, basically the checklist that you can go through to say, am I doing this? Have I got these optimized? And so take a look at this. You've got this. It's a free checklist. It's a gift to you guys for being on the call. Take a look at this, see how you're doing. If you have any questions, obviously you can reach out to us. We gave you the spreadsheet. Please take a look at the spreadsheet. Like I said, I did 3 videos on 3 different tabs that kind of refresh your memory on how those tabs work and can help you set up basically a monthly plan for the different verticals that you have from a marketing perspective. So you can do that. We also have this wheel that we sent you as well, so you can check what you're doing and what you're not doing. So here's what we've covered. We've covered your plan for and how many leads you need to hit your number. We've talked about the 3 fundamental marketing pieces that you need to have nailed down. How to optimize your website in 2025. We talked about the big picture of online marketing channels, the wheel that we've talked about, what you need to do, and those different things that can really impact your business. We've talked about the latest trends to be aware of in 2025. And then we really need you to develop a custom action plan based on where you are today and kind of where you want to go. It's up to you to do this. No one else can kind of do this work for you. You kind of need to do it on yourself. And so I would say this. I know when I go to some conferences and I go through a presentation, I get overwhelmed at all the stuff I could be doing. I would say this. If you could just write down 3 things, just take 3 things away from what we talked about today and say, these are the 3 things I'm going to implement in the next couple months. Write those down. It's good to just write these down. Focus on 3 things that you can do. Don't try to make a list of 20 things. You'll never do them. Make a list of 3 things that you can implement from what we've talked about here today, and then that will certainly make a difference in 2025. Okay, so that's, I hope you learned a lot on this. We spent almost, how much time is that? Let's see here. About an hour. And so that was the goal of the thing, is to get you guys out of here in an hour. And so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a phone call. Here's our phone number. You can obviously schedule a call with us as well. Jamal will put a link in this chat that you can schedule a phone call. That's fine as well. We can do that. But I hope you were able to kind of get something out of it. 2025 is just around the corner. 2025 can be a great year for you. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, coming in 2025 that we didn't see in 2024 with new government and new incentives and just kind of a refreshing of stuff. And so if you want to grow in 2025, I think this is the year to do it. So if there's anything we can do to help, we're here to help. We're here to do whatever we can do to help you guys hit your goals. Be happy to do that. And so at this point, you're dismissed if you want. If you want to stay and just ask questions, we can do that as well. I'm going to hold the thing open for a little bit. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask?